Welcome to the Industry Insider, brought to you by PromoCorner. Each week, promotional product professionals Meg Erber, Jeff Franklin, and Stephen McFadden, along with special guests, will discuss industry news, trends, and events with a focus on educating the promotional products industry. The Industry Insider, the nerdy news you need to know.
Welcome back to yet another exciting episode of the Industry Insider, your promotional products podcast where you can get all the nerdy news you need to know about. My name is Jeff Franklin, National Accounts Manager with Headwear USA, and I'm joined today by three other lovely folks. But of course, before we get to them, we got to tell you about our fine sponsors. ASI, we've got the ASI show coming up. The ASI show in Chicago, taking place July 25th through the 27th at McCormick Place, North Building. Don't miss your chance to spark conversations, discover new products, build your business, and have fun at the last large-scale trade show of the year. Highlights include a keynote on how to close more sales by improving your pitch, a panel of industry executives sharing how to navigate the current promo marketplace, an exhibit hall filled with innovative products, product ideas, and education sessions to help you grow your business, and opportunities to network, win prizes, and much more. Register now at asishow.com with promo code PC. Tell them the Industry Insider sent you. Why don't we say hi to Meg Erber? How are you doing today, Meg?
Wonderful, actually.
You're looking very lake house-ish right now.
I'm looking kind of what?
Lake house-ish.
Oh, maybe. That's why we're pre-recording.
Yeah, very cool. Stephen McFadden, how are you doing?
Oh man, it's been an interesting start of my day so far. I feel like we played a bad turn in Jumanji. We had like wildlife running in through the door of our office, and so that's been.
But if it were Jumanji, it'd be like 10 times bigger than it actually was.
Yeah, this is maybe. Well, thank goodness we didn't roll like rhinoceros or the monkeys or something, because we'd be in trouble. But I'm doing great, Jeff. How about yourself? How are you?
I'm doing all right, thanks. I am doing all right. We are in the middle of summer.
I did have a question for all of you all, because I know we always have like a brief sports segment. I'm just curious, have you guys done your drafts yet, or are they about to come up?
We do them over Labor Day weekend.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, how early is too early? I think you have to wait until like the third week of August.
You've got to wait until at least the third week of August. Yeah, if it's not the third or fourth week of the preseason, then you're drafting too soon.
You're drafting way too soon. Okay, I just want to put that out there on the record.
You'll get injured and it screws your entire season up. Don't do that. Don't draft. Like, what's the point in drafting right now?
Yeah, definitely. You just got to wait.
There's still trades.
Training camp, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's going to be some injuries in training camp. There's going to be people that move around still. Okay.
Not that it would.
From experience, your draft is or your league is trying to draft early or something.
There was
some rumblings.
A few people that should be nameless that had floated the idea that we go ahead and knock it out, and I think it's like dumb. Insanity. Just put everyone in auto draft if you're going to do that. So,
yeah, insanity. Well, we are joined by a very special guest today, Gary Kellen with the Koozie Group. We're here to talk about selling calendars. I feel like it's an appropriate time to start selling calendars. July, it's that time where you got to start selling them or start thinking about the pitch to sell them. And so, Gary, it is customary for us to give our special guest a good 3 to 4 minutes to introduce themselves before we launch into the topic. So why don't you take it away, sir? How are you doing today, Gary? And then give us an introduction of yourself.
I'm doing great. Just recovering from the 4th. Way too much sun, way too much lake time. So kind of drying out a little bit, no pun intended.
Is that even possible? Is there such a thing as way too much of any of those things that you just said?
No, I did get burnt one really bad one day, but that was early part of last week, so it is what it is. So, but start to the industry. I've been in the industry since right around 2020, which was a little bit over 20 years. Started out in the industry. I come from the wearable side. Worked for a couple of years for Alpha Shirt Company at the time, which is now Alpha Prime, and then spent a few years at Senator Penn for a couple of years as a supplier rep, and then back in 2005 I joined Norwood Promotional Products, which transitioned into Big Graphic, and then obviously Koozie Group now. I was originally came on board with Norwood as a calendar rep specifically. So this is a category that's near and dear to my heart. Helped a lot of distributors develop the business over the years, which I have this time of year is, believe it or not, the end of June, early July. It's very busy on the calendar side, manufacturing wise, just based on how our price points work and all that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, I remember from my distributor days that the calendars would start popping up in early July, and I'd be like, because I was a web distributor, so people only called me if they needed something last minute and yesterday. So I didn't get these calendar calls till November, December even. I'd be like, but yeah, well, I think we should also talk about why it's important to order the calendar so early and why people are ordering them in July.
Well, that's a good question. I think when you step back a little bit as a distributor, obviously we're the largest supplier in the industry when it comes to that category. A lot of ASI Distributor Choice Awards as far as the product quality, selection, the marketing behind it, and all that kind of good stuff. But when you step back a second, one of the benefits of ordering calendars early as a customer and as a distributor is you can kind of, number one, you can get the order out of the way, and you can work on other projects towards the fall, including gift giving season, event product that goes on the remainder of the summer, and all that good stuff that goes along with it. But the biggest thing for a distributor on average with our what we call our stock line products, a theme calendar you see on our website and our catalog and other collateral is is that you get about 10% off on average of early order price discount, which is kind of nice. Usually that's around the July 1st timeframe, and that's why we're really busy this time of year. So,
speaking of July, did Mandy Rudd's dog get royalties for this one? I want to know because he's Mr. July. That's all I'm saying. That is all.
You can't have a better monthly theme in July as far as I'm concerned.
Go ahead, Steven.
Hey, so when you guys were talking about the timeline of calendars, so help educate me, because I maybe I'm late as a person that could sell calendars. So my thought's always been like you said is, a January to January, year. But I guess I haven't even thought about like the fiscal years for academics and for some companies that run, June, July, August to June, July, August, right? So I guess I'm already late for that too. So it's better to get early for January to January, right? Do you see it as a consistent order throughout the year, or is it a very seasonal product where it's just mid-year, end year?
Typically what the way we look at calendars is, first off, when we talk about the, inside of the category itself, we actually classify the product either stock line. I know those terms are kind of weird. It's like talking fabrics on the apparel side, right? We have what we call stock line, which is basically off the shelf calendar style, like a motivations calendar, a scenic calendar, and a customer put their ad on one of the ad imprint areas. We also do, which is about 75% of what we distributors order from us. About another 25% is on the custom side, meaning a customer can lay out their calendar on a blank piece of paper or pages of a 12-month calendar, so to speak, and they can customize it any way they want. We do quite a bit of that. So yeah, you can run an offset year, whether it's academic or if you wanted to customize your calendar, whether it's a 12-month, whether it's a financial based calendar or it needs to be an 18-month calendar. That's something certainly that you could do. So
now the ones that you stock, do they all run January to December, or do
we have some planners that are academic based, but about 98% of the calendars that we ship out or produce are standard calendar year, either December to January 13-month or a standard 12-month January to December, which is very, very common. And even when you look at retail, that's pretty much what you find.
I'm kind of surprised to hear that the custom number is only around 25%. That's you would think, especially if you're ordering like this time of the year, July, that would be, people would take advantage of doing that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's a cost difference in the two. Is that you think would be the key reason?
It can be. It depends on the quantity. When you're talking about custom, it's commercial printing. So it really, you get, certainly get a huge, cost savings the more quantity you do. So there's definitely economies of scale when it comes to commercial printing and printing. The more you do, the less costly it is. It goes with any promotional product, but eventually you'll run into manufacturing costs where they'll straight line, or you're doing such a high quantity that it kind of evens out as far as the price point.
So I have heard, and maybe you can second this or back it up with some of your insight, that calendars are the best reorder product in the industry.
Some would argue that awards fall into that category too, but not always. Okay. Not always the same awards, right? They always change the names of awards, the type of awards, that kind of thing. But we actually enjoy, and I mean enjoy, our distributors actually enjoy on a stock line calendar order about 8 to 10. It repeats about 8 to 10 years roughly. On some of our styles, like this calendar I have hung up on the wall, that average repeat order factor of that large style of calendar, like the poster size single sheet product, those are around 13 to 14 years. Those are some of the heaviest repeat factor calendars out there, actually. So they're great calendars to sell. You can make some great margin on them. And then you can kind of think about it this way as a distributor. If you can get a couple dozen calendar orders going every year, it's a great way to even out your sales cycle as well. So even out those ups and downs throughout the year. So.
Some even say that with a calendar promotional product, you're marketing yourself 365 days a year.
Yeah, I think you read that off some of our calendar collateral, actually. So.
Smooth, Meg.
I am really.
She's really.
That's true.
All right. So Gary, just real quick. So for a distributor that's maybe never sold a promotional calendar or has never really gotten into it too much, like, why do you want to potentially lead the charge with selling calendars, or why do you want to, why should somebody give it that second thought and a deep dive into why they should?
It's kind of interesting. And this is kind of going from my experience. I think one of the things you have to recognize is a lot of customers with calendars, it's a promotional product, obviously. But when you look at the way their customers utilize their budget dollars for ad spend, they throw the calendars in their a different budget category, and not just their advertising promotional products budget, but a lot of times it falls into what they would consider as just their general advertising budget, what they would spend on commercial print, flyers, and that kind of category. So many times, I think it's more often than not, is that calendars in that category, since they're a day-to-day advertising, fall into that kind of budget like direct mail would. It kind of comes in under a different subset of budgeting sometimes, and customers will find a budget for it if they understand what the return on their investment is, more or less.
I mean, that's definitely a huge reason to potentially look into it, because if you're tapping out your client's budget, that falls into something else, another category altogether. Budget.
Yeah, office supplies or something like that. Even
stationary office supplies.
Correct. And then one of the key factors for the distributor why they want to start selling it is, keep in mind, a lot of times when you're in how to recognize when to sell a calendar to a customer is just a couple things. When you're visiting with a client, you're at their office, what have you. I know it's kind of difficult. It was a little bit more difficult during the COVID time frame of doing office visits and customer visits and that type of thing. But if you see calendars hanging around their office wall, it's time to ask the question. And that question is, have you ordered your calendars yet? I mean, that's the simplest opening line a distributor can make when they're talking to their customers. Maybe the distributor's meeting to talk about an upcoming event and some of the items that they need for promoting that event, for example. Or it could be an award situation. They're getting together early in the year to plan that out. It's one of those things that you want to bring up and approach on. So if you had to ask me, honestly, if a distributor just sits around and waits for the customer to bring calendars up, it's not going to happen. Very rarely does. That same thing can happen on some of the some of the events that go on there, the award categories, that type of thing. It's really up to the individual distributor to broach the topic and to bring up the potential of a calendar. Because really, the customer's only going to say one to two things. Number one, I've already placed my calendar order. That could certainly happen. So then you can get in on the distributor can take the next step, and that's to see what they did and maybe take a look at doing something different the next year. Or they're going to say, we never thought about calendars, or we don't do calendars. And then kind of to tackle that in a couple different ways. So
that's some great advice. Gary, what is the best selling type of calendar? Would you say that's the wall calendar, like the one that's like this?
Yes, that's probably about, they're a very popular style of calendars. Obviously, it's because they can go and they're accepted in pretty much any office setting, desk area, whether it's in the home or in the pantry, or actually even hanging on a fridge magnet if that's what the end user wants to do. So,
or in the bathroom when I came here.
Or in the bathroom. If you got a really crazy schedule, in the bathroom too. So.
Hey, sometimes that's where you get your clearest thoughts, and sometimes you gotta work some things out with the schedule, and
I was going to ask earlier before I get cut out again, because my Starlink is like that sometimes. Stephen and Jeff, what do you think the most popular themed wall calendar is every year out of all the wall calendar themes? Which one do you think is the most popular?
Themed?
Yeah, so like this one's puppies and kittens. There's like cars, there's motivational, there's inspirational, there's hot rods.
It's got to be something to do with either animals or national parks. I mean,
all right, I'll since you take those two, and I'll take Sports Illustrated.
I'm gonna take motivational or inspirational.
Okay, what is it?
I don't know, Gary. What is it?
Oh, I thought you were just gonna throw Gary under the bus like that.
Well, that's what I was trying to say
before the episode, so that he knows.
I mean, he had a couple minutes to think about it because I was coming out there.
Would you have any lean into this at all? Would you know an answer?
I see I see the top products that we sell, so I know the inside track to this or what we do. It depends on the style, but our number one selling calendar is right over here is the laminated version of the same calendar, but on the non-laminated version, this is our number one calendar sitting right just to the left of me. So,
yeah.
What about the green one?
So this one we sell. I'd fair to guess, but hundreds of thousands of that calendar right here. We actually print up. I don't know if you guys know this. It's an amazing number when you think about it. Koozie Group actually prints right around 115 million calendars a year for distributors. Now that could be a magnet calendar that's on the fridge, or it could be like those little stick-up truck calendars that you see either in a vehicle, little date grids that you could see in toolboxes and that kind of thing. So there's lots of different. It could be pocket planners and those kind of things as well.
Based on what I found, they would be kittens, ponies, puppies, so wildlife and animal calendars.
Yeah, the actual theme calendars, like what Meg is talking about, is your scenic calendars, like landscapes. Anything that people can take a Calgon moment with, right? Either a motivational calendar or some type of scenery. National parks falls into that category as well, really. But those type of themes are very popular.
So that means Jeff and I both won, so that can't happen. So you have to pick your favorite.
That's not true, because what Steven looked up and what Gary says confirms that my number one and two were
number two. Yeah,
motivational got thrown in there, Mick.
But
whatever.
Caveat on
he wanted to make you feel better.
Data I found was 5 years old, so I don't know.
Well, I'm going to have to pick, as a winner, I'm going to have to pick Jeff, because he's just got a better podcast set up than everybody else.
He does.
Meg,
he does. I know.
Blue mic.
I know. I'm traveling. Sorry.
Hey, you all want some quick data from the ASI ad impression study? I have a couple things, because I always come super prepared. Right?
Prepared.
News. So, let's go.
How long do you guys think people keep a calendar?
366 days.
You might be surprised to know that 62% of consumers would keep or use a promotional calendar for 1 year or longer. So that could be the 13 months or 18 months.
Do you see the year on this?
Yeah,
So
it's a 2022.
So these people that lived here before me definitely kept it longer than 12 months.
Yeah.
How many impressions do you all think a calendar has in its lifetime?
365.
Oh, no. Yeah. The question he's asking is how many people.
Yeah.
I know.
So it's how many impressions. So how many people are seeing it in this lifetime?
See, that's the
It's
hard
not-
part.
it's-
That's you almost want to say one, but I know it's way more than one. But for a personalized item like a desktop calendar or a wall calendar, the only people that it's really influencing are the people that are like, if it's in a home, obviously just the family. If it's in an office, then it's people that come in.
So you're gonna have that average, right? You're gonna have.
Yeah, so I would say maybe let's say 5 people a day for 280 days. We'll just say 1,000 or 1,500. I'll say 1,500 impressions.
Meg?
5,000.
Good number.
Okay.
Meg,
Gary?
what do you?
She actually threw out a great number.
I did mental math.
Yep. Yeah. Are we asking about the quantity of people, or are we asking about the number of impressions during the year?
Number of impressions.
Number of impressions over its lifetime, based on how ASI measures it.
Yeah, it's typically between 4,200 and 5,000 times a year.
So they had 673.
Oh,
Wow.
So-
And I can see it as an average, right? Like if you've got some that are in more public spaces versus some that are personal.
in a bathroom.
Yeah, like if I had a calendar in here, the maximum number that would see it in a year might be like 5, 6. It's like, so it just depends on who would come into the office or look behind the door or whatever. But if it was out in the common area, it'd probably be over 1,000. It's just.
Yeah,
I knew I should have gone with 1,000.
Yeah, us supplier reps that are involved with scheduling heavy during the day now. We know from a lot of stats that we run, even with certain studies and a bunch of other associations, that type of thing, that have done third-party studies. The average person, and this is not just within the promotional products industry, but out there, the average person uses, relatively speaking, 3 different types of calendars. It could be simple, a couple of things like your Google Calendar. It could be Outlook, for example, is a big one, obviously. And then also some form of planner. So some people still love the old Franklin planners, for example. We certainly have that product category as well. But if it's an advertising calendar that's targeted towards a certain individual, typically we'll see the average person, especially in the business world, uses a calendar 8 to 10 times a day. So that impression is pretty big, which computes to over 4,200 times a year, roughly. So,
wow.
So
yeah,
good stats.
I'm constantly clicking the bottom right of my screen to see what day it is coming out.
Or he's texting us. Do we have a podcast today?
Right.
Yes, that's for sure.
Yep.
The last stat I have, actually 2, it was calendars in the top 14 products for percentage of likelihood that a person will do business with the advertiser. So it made the top 14 is what they have on their chart, and it came in at number 12. So that's awesome, because that's a huge stat. Like that's really the goal, is to have products that work, right? So it being in there is great. How many states do you all think had it in the top 5 as their product category? Now, granted, it used to be a top 5 category. It seemed like every year, and it kind of fell off the top 5 as of the last few years. But there are how many states that still have it as their top 5?
I'll say
8.
4.
I'd say probably, I'd say between the single digits, I'd say 8 or 9, roughly.
Which one?
Oh, 9. I'll take 9 cents.
9's the winner.
I knew it. Damn it.
You had West Virginia, Utah, Arizona, Maine, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New Mexico, Ohio, and Rhode Island. And the
That's
one that had
surprising,
it
'cause
as
if you're saying that it's like the top 14 product, that like I figured the number would be lower just because if it's like 14th in the
industry, yeah. Now,
what,
most of them fell. All of 2 states had it as the 4th or 5th, highest product category. Rhode Island has it as 3, and New Mexico had it as their 2nd highest product category.
that's pretty impressive, actually, when you consider, look at overall ad spend, what customers would spend both on direct mail and spend on promo, whether it's hard goods or wearables. That's pretty significant. So
It's a strong category. I mean, really, if you've got that many states still rocking as a top 5, that's pretty good. I mean, that's really good.
I feel like calendar there's certain like self promo items, right, that just don't make sense, and then there's some that make like a ton of sense. I feel like calendars is one of those things that are a huge like self promo for distributors in the industry as well.
yeah, and a lot of that, just like you, Jeff, I'm sure that as a distributor, it would be a situation where, if you're gonna practice what you preach, use it. Which I do back in the day, yeah, since I, represent all of Koozie Group's product categories and that type of thing. It's one of those things that I pitched a lot. If you really wanted to sell calendars, just do a calendar. And you'd be surprised how much referral business comes from that.
Hey, one of the things I know we've talked about with every category we've done so far is the customization options. So maybe just very quickly as we wrap up here, what are some of like the cool things you can do with the calendar as far as customization?
We've seen it all. Believe it or not, some of the customers that utilize, some industries that utilize custom calendars, anywhere from healthcare to retail use custom calendars. It could be coupons, that kind of thing, to drive traffic, for example. It could be brand awareness, for example. And it really depends on where the calendars are sent to. Like, we've seen calendars that are used for, school bus manufacturers, for example, that go into schools, go into, the bus companies, that type of thing, that contract with the schools. It really, it's wide open. Like I mentioned,
traditionally like full color, right? Can you change like coil colors in some cases, and change shapes and sizes. So it's pretty customizable. Okay.
It's pretty wide open. Anything. If you walk into, like, for example, if you walk into let's see, one of Daimler North America's trucks, like Western Star or manufacturers, if you walk into their dealers, you're going to see a massive calendar that we assist that distributor with on the manufacturing and the creative work as well. And I know there's not a lot of time to talk about it, but we're pretty much turnkey at Koozie Group. We have a creative team that's dedicated to that category to help develop the calendar, all the way to the individual distribution. So it's I
was going to ask that as the custom options. Like, do you guys have a team that helps with some of those designs and creatives, or are there stock images or photography and things like that to use or draw from? Or
you can get into the weeds a little bit on this discussion because it can get a little bit more in depth. But ultimately, the answer to that is yes on all of it. We can license images. So if there's certain images a customer wants to utilize that are out there, like a certain scenic images from a state, we have libraries that we can choose from, work with ad agencies to find those images. Or if the customer wants to use theirs, that's fine too. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Stephen, what you had mentioned, I think the perpetual calendars that you've used maybe in the past. Like, do you have anything to share or bring to the table with that?
No, I mean, it was, when we were thinking about calendars, we were not, or self promos for that matter. We were, this was like in an odd time of year when we did do these and purchase them. But we did we ended up ordering more of them for the end of the year because they were well received. But we realized people all kept them from previous. So we were like, this is a good item to leave on a desk. If you can find something that takes up desk space, that's pretty good product. So, obviously, for those who aren't familiar, the cubes, kind of like you see at a bank, where you can rotate them around with the different months and the years and days. Good news with something like that is that one lasts a long time. Now, I mean, probably won't have a lot of reorders with it, but it was still a really neat item. I think there's it's like a training thing with customers still when it comes to calendars, where I could show them an item like that and they still think it's a product. I could put a calendar print on a magnet or a mouse pad. They still think those are products. It's almost like calendars as paper items on the wall falls into this category that they don't think about us for, or it takes that extra step of explaining, like, no, like the ones you're buying a lot of, like that are on the wall, those, not the mouse pad we printed a calendar on, or so there is some difference between, I think, when you get into stationary style pieces versus product style pieces. People just don't think of our industry as a huge stationary thing. Well, not everybody, but it depends on your customers for sure.
Yeah, it's one of the training things that I've utilized in explaining it to distributors how to discuss that topic with their customers is, think about calendars. It's just you can call it billboard advertising, what have you, but if it can take either the desk space or the wall space on their customers, client's wall, that's free. That's bonus advertising. In a nutshell, calendars is just advertising. It just had the calendar portion of that advertising piece can be just the medium that message is carried. So if you think about it, and it breaks down to that easy. For a product that's used on a day-to-day basis, you can get some pretty good ROI out of that, honestly.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Mm-hmm.
Any other input, Meg, Steven? Anything else to add?
Oh, dude, great.
Dogs going crazy a minute ago, so I apologize. Yeah, no. Thank you, Gary, for coming on the show.
Thoughts for us, or anything else that we should put out there to the audience?
It's never too late. As a distributor, it's never too late to ask. Next client meeting you have, just ask them if they placed their calendar order yet. Very simple to get started. Other than that, I appreciate you letting me join you today. It's kind of fun. So
yeah,
thank you
for coming in. I mean, I think it's awesome, and like you said, this particular topic is near and dear to your heart. Having joined as a calendar rep back in the day, so super cool to have you on and just have that wealth of knowledge. So thank you for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome.
But listen, guys, if you enjoyed the topic, it was brought to you by our good friends over at the ASI or at ASI. And we're talking about the ASI show in Chicago, taking place July 25th through the 27th at McCormick Place North Building. Don't miss your chance to spark conversation, discover new products, and build your business and have fun at the last large-scale trade show of the year. Highlights include a keynote on how to close more sales by improving your pitch, a panel of industry executives sharing how to navigate the current promo marketplace, a panel of industry executives showing how to navigate the current promo marketplace, an exhibit hall filled with innovative product ideas, education sessions to help you grow your business, opportunities to network, win prizes, and much more. Register now at asishow.com with promo code PC. Tell them the Industry Insider sent you. Look, until next time, guys. Appreciate you tuning in. See ya.
Yeah, bye now.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of PromoCorner's Industry Insider. For more great content from industry thought leaders, including podcasts, blogs, and videos, visit PromoCorner.com.